Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Jacob Beck, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Fired up. You are here with us. Let's get things started. It's going to be a busy show. Got What If Wednesday coming up. We've got our normal sit down with J.D. Piquel, who's going to talk all things college football with us. Chase Young coming back. Ross Jackson kind of thinks over at LouisianaSports.net. Give you my thoughts on that. SEC football power rankings coming your way as well. So plenty to do. Let's get it rolling with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
All right, time to start gearing things toward LSU in South Carolina coming up on Saturday night in Death Valley. And I want to start with kind of the most obvious point in this matchup. It's the two guys who got the most hype in the summer and preseason. And it's a couple of guys who have had trouble getting things rolling. That's, of course, the two quarterbacks. If you were to look at mock drafts this 2 months ago, you would see Garrett Nussmeier in a lot of first rounds, a lot of top tens. You would see Lenore Sellers in a lot of first rounds, in a lot of top tens. And they just haven't had that type of production through the first month of the season. Now, Lenore Sellers obviously had a concussion in the first half of the Vanderbilt game, and that has hampered him in a way. In that game, obviously, he missed more than half of it. And Garrett Nussmeier's been dealing with a little bit of an ab strain, a torso injury, whatever you want to call it as well, and that may have played into it. And maybe these two guys are just struggling to get things rolling because they haven't been healthy. Maybe it's because their offensive lines haven't played very well. Maybe it's the design of the offense. There could be a number of reasons, but these two teams are not going to achieve what they want to achieve unless these two quarterbacks start producing a little bit more. We know the Garrett Nussmeier story here in Baton Rouge, and certainly as the week goes on, we'll talk about LSU's offense against the South Carolina defense. But I wanted to spend this portion of the week talking about Lenore Sellers. This is a guy that kind of came out of nowhere-ish last year. Like, yeah, he was a four-star recruit by On3. He was a four-star by ESPN. He was a four-star by Rivals. But it wasn't like every big program in the country was all over him. He was offered by Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Coastal Carolina. If you check his Rivals page, his visits, he went to South Carolina, he took an epistle to Syracuse, and he ended up at South Carolina. Juice Wells was the number 2 wide receiver at South Carolina 3 years ago. And he left and told Shane Beamer, like, I'm leaving because I don't think you have a quarterback. And then all of a sudden, like, Lenore Sellers started playing damn good football last year. I remember watching LSU in South Carolina. And despite the fact that he hit one big throw over the top, and despite the fact that he busted off a 75-yard touchdown run, I remember thinking to myself, watching the game, going, you know, he's not very good at throwing the ball. He'll probably throw another interception. Like, he's a reason LSU could win this game. I'm thinking Lenore Sellers, the reason LSU could win this game early on in the season. By the time they got to Clemson late last year, like, he beat Clemson with that defense. He got really no help in the running game, not a ton of help from his wide receivers. He was just running around and beat Clemson with his athleticism. Now, their defense last year was awesome, and I want to add that into this discussion. But Sellers was kind of a one-man band at times on offense last year. That's how freakishly athletic he is. He is very much in the Jalen Milroe mold when you look at what Milroe did to LSU for 2 years. There are plenty of mobile quarterbacks that aren't like this. Mobile can mean, yeah, I can get you 9 on 3rd and 4 all day. Yeah, I can evade a pass rush. But mobile doesn't mean I've got 75 yards to the crib in my jetpack. Like, Jaden Daniels had that, and Jalen Milroe obviously had that, and Lenore Sellers has that. Now, is he the most polished passer you've ever seen? No. I'll tell you this, and I've referenced this a lot, but it's my perspective, so it's what I had to draw from. When we were about to go to Atlanta for SEC Media Days in July, I watched all the returning SEC quarterbacks on YouTube from their highlights. Just what happened last year on the good side of things. Let's take a look. What do I see? And I told you, like, I watched Marcel Reed, and I went, that looks better than I remember. And I watched Lenoris Sellers, and my takeaway from his first year as a starter last year on the highlight reel in July was nothing on this is on schedule. This is a guy running around, backyard football. I'm bigger, I'm faster, I'm stronger. You're not prepared. If you're in man and you turn your back to me, I'm taking off. It was a lot of park football. And I was curious how big a step forward he would take this year from the pocket. He was never going to just sit in the pocket and do all his work from there. Why waste a horse of an athlete with that? But I was curious, like, does he look significantly better? The answer is probably not. Like, South Carolina's offense doesn't operate a lot. Snap the ball to Sellers, whether it's a play action in the backfield or just sit back there and go to work. That's not what he does. They do a lot of things to get the ball out around the line of scrimmage. They do some things to move the pocket. And a lot of times he looks to one side of the field, that's not really there, and then he just starts moving. And he's moving to his right, and he's going to step up, and here's the defensive end. Well, he can outrun him and see if he can extend the play a little bit longer, and then what comes open? And that's a lot of what South Carolina tries to do in the passing game. And I'll tell you one of the things that they do produce, because they're not throwing the ball well at all. Like, they don't throw the ball well. They're not super productive. You look at Lenoris Sellers, he threw for 209 on 12 completions against Virginia Tech. And then against Kentucky last week, 11 of 14 for 153 yards. The outlier here is the game at Missouri, 18 for 28, so a low completion percentage, just 64%, but 302 yards and 2 touchdowns. But how are they getting these? How are they getting to these yardage marks if I'm telling you they're not super productive through the air? They will hit the big play. Virginia Tech, 64-yard touchdown over the top to Nick Harbor, who's a freak of an athlete. Against Vanderbilt, they had a 33-yard pass early in that game. But against Missouri, long of 49. Against Kentucky, a 59-yard touchdown. They will throw the ball deep with some effectiveness. And how does that happen? Well, a lot of the times, that's because teams are focused on taking Sellers away around the line of scrimmage. And yesterday, at player interviews, we heard from a couple of Tiger defenders. We heard from A.J. Halsey, and we heard from Jamari Butler. And Butler was talking about the importance of running within your lanes when you pass rush. And then Halsey talked about plastering. You have to plaster to your wide receiver. You may have to cover longer in this game because their quarterback's going to run around a little bit. They have been coached on this for 2 weeks. And it's not unlike Cade Klubnik to an extent. He will do that as well. Lagway, not as much. And then Trinidad Chambliss, yes, will do that. But South Carolina, they will get some plays because things break down. You get a busted a busted play. He's outside the pocket. Somebody creeps up. Their eyes aren't where they're supposed to be. Boom, big play over the top. And big plays are a huge part of this South Carolina offense. The efficiency with which they move down the field is oftentimes not great. That's magnified. You look at the fact they're dead last in the SEC in total offense. And not only are they dead last in total offense, they're 23 yards per game behind 15th place Kentucky. You're talking about an offense that ranks 92nd in the country in scoring. They have not been great. And if you look at their point totals, six non-offensive touchdowns have boosted that. Their defense has put points on the board. Their special teams have scored. They had a special teams touchdown against Virginia Tech in the first game. Like, they are scoring in other ways. The offense has not been super productive. But when it comes to Sellers, his running numbers are not what I would expect them to be, and sack adjustment is a big part of this. But he's only run for 98 yards on the season because South Carolina has allowed so many sacks and have taken those away. So those numbers are skewed. He's certainly running for more than 20 yards per game when you take out the sacks. But he's only got one rushing touchdown, and it was on their first drive of the year. They went right down the field on Virginia Tech. He did a design run right up the middle, ran over a safety at the goal line, touchdown. That's the last time he crossed the goal line. That's really hard to believe. You look back at South Carolina and LSU last year, South Carolina's first drive, drove it down the field. They ran a design run from the Norris Sellers. LSU bottled it up at the line of scrimmage. He bounces the outside and beat a defensive back to the pylon. Touchdown. And then you remember he does the read option, 75 yards up the gut for a touchdown, showing breakaway speed. But for him to only have one rushing touchdown this year is almost malpractice. So for LSU, the key here is twofold with Sellers. One, there is a quarterback run element to this that you've got to be prepared for. That does include when you rush the passer, don't go too far and open up lanes. Because yes, Harold Perkins is a freak athlete. Yes, Whit Weeks is a freak athlete. Do you want those guys chasing Lenore Sellers to the corner a lot? Probably not. Like, they'll make their fair share of plays, but Sellers is too. So you got to keep him in the pocket. And when you keep him in the pocket, and that play develops a little bit longer because he doesn't immediately come out with it in rhythm, which a lot of this stuff is not in rhythm, your defensive backs have to know to plaster, to stay on their guys longer than usual. There's an internal clock in every defensive player's head. And they know when, generally speaking, you probably don't have to cover much longer and something's going on. With South Carolina, you've got to extend that because oftentimes he will look at that first read, it's not there. Maybe get to that second read, that's not there, and then the feet start moving. And he might step up and out. He might just roll out. He might have to evade a defender or two and change direction. And all that time, you've got wide receivers and tight ends moving around out there. And by the way, Nick Harbor is literally an Olympic hopeful in track, and he's like 6'5". Like, so there are weapons out there that you've got to stick to longer than you're used to. But the good news is, and this should come as no surprise to anybody, LSU's been coached on this for a week and a half. Like, the players came out and said it. And one of the things I like about the LSU players this year, I've noticed this, is that when Brian Kelly says something in a press conference, usually the players will use the same terminology. And that suggests it's been kind of beaten into their brains, and this is the focus this week, and this is what you've got to do. This is not a South Carolina offense that's doing much of anything against anybody. But if you let Sellers do what he wants to do, which is run the ball, extend plays, hit big plays down the field, that's where they can get you. LSU knows that. They're aware of that. You've got to make sure that that doesn't happen. If you make South Carolina, remember the first drive that Ole Miss scored on 2 weeks ago? 17-play drive. I don't think South Carolina's going to do that. I think that Lane Kiffin would coach circles around Mike Shula. I think that Trinidad Chambliss is a better operator of the offense in that system than Lenore Sellers is here. They want chunk plays. They want to get it going down the field. And if they don't get that, they're not moving the ball a lot. They're the worst total offense in the SEC. It's easier said than done. I'm well aware of that. But you got to figure this out. Gary Nussmeier and his group have got their problems as well. But this Lenore Sellers-led offense is not doing what that many people thought they would do back in talking season in the summer. That's our Genesis opening drive here on this Wednesday. We'll step aside. J.D. Piquel in 15 minutes. It's What If Wednesday next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning, remodeling bathrooms and closets. If your home was built somewhere in the neighborhood of 2000, it's about 25 years old. Maybe it's 30, maybe it's 18. But if it's in that age range, you may start to see some of the fixtures and some of the functionality of your bathroom being compromised. That's about the time that may start to happen. Don't just call the guy down the street, slip him some cash, and see if he can patchwork it together. Call the company that's been doing this for 30 years. Call the company that's licensed, bonded, and insured. Call the company that has a master plumber under contract that can come in and either redo your entire bathroom, which they can do, or make sure that the replacement is functional and gorgeous. They will do that as well. They'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. If you've got issues with your tub, if you've got issues with your shower, if you've got issues that you want fixed, One Bath and Closets, David Duvall can do it. That free consultation can be started online, OneBathAndClosets.com. It's One Bath and Closets, OneBathAndClosets.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
While Louisiana politics can seem like they're from another planet, Moon Griffon isn't afraid to bring politicians back down to earth. Listen to the Moon Griffon Show weekday mornings at 9 on Talk 107.3.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Love telling you about Renaissance Homes and Pools. My guy Joey Blanchard, he owns the shop. And if you decide to put in the pool of your dreams, the outdoor kitchen of your dreams, you can deal with the owner of the shop start to finish. If you deal with Renaissance Homes and Pools, that's the free consultation that you just sit down and chat with Joey. The design process where he's got this software that's unbelievable. It can get into so much detail about what goes into your pool to scale. You can put the outdoor kitchen on it as well. He can make that happen for you, and you're working with the owner of the company. Then when it's time to dig that pool, Joey's there. When it's time to fill that pool, Joey's there. At the finish, Joey's there. You're not dealing with somebody who may or may not be with the company halfway through or may or may not be invested in what you're doing because they're just a 9-to-5er. You get the owner. And I love dealing with local companies that are invested in their community like Joey Blanchard and the folks at Renaissance Homes and Pools are. So if you're looking to make sure that by next summer you've got that pool in your backyard, start that process today with Renaissance Homes and Pools. You can find them online at Built by Renaissance. BuiltByRenaissance.com. We got a lot to get to here. JD Piquel with us in a little more than 10 minutes talking college football. SEC football power rankings in an hour and 10 minutes. Chase Young, is he headed back? We'll do that in the second hour as well. But for right now, it's What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, our first one here, Hunt, our number one fan. You know who that is, right?
I got a good idea of it.
Do you know who's our number one fan? Hunt?
Richard Condon?
That's correct.
That's good.
He has a what if for you yet
again.
Is it
actually a what if this week?
It is actually a what if.
You know, they say you can't teach a very, very, very old dog new tricks, but
apparently
he made the adjustment after a week.
Yes. I will say that it doesn't make a lot. I'm not really sure what it means, but we'll go ahead and read it. Hunt, if you were born in South Louisiana instead of the area of the state featured in the movie Footloose, would you be less, quote, wishy-washy? I don't know what that means, but
it's a poor what if. There's no question about it. There's not a ton of correlation between quote unquote wishy-washiness and a place of birth.
Yeah.
So I think the answer is no. I would probably be about the same no matter what hospital I was brought into this world in. But wonderful question, very pertinent, very relevant, right on topic, and I was thrilled to answer that. So another great effort on social media by our number one fan, Richard Condon, who continues to show his excellent grasp of all things social media with things like that.
All right, next one. What if you could take one sports team and put them back into a throwback uniform for good?
Okay, so you'd have to have, it needs to be bad right now. I've got two in mind. I want to make sure that that I don't just make a flagrant miss. The two that immediately leap into my brain are the Seahawks going from this neon garbage that they wear with the navy and the neon back to the royal blues of the 90s, the Cortez Kennedy uniforms, but also the Broncos, whose navy and orange is not as good as the Elway royal and orange, if you want to call that royal blue.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards the Broncos for that one. And then I think the next one that would come to my mind, because this is less about how good the old ones are and more about how awful the new ones are. Well, crap, there's two over there. The Diamondbacks and Padres have made awful uniform decisions. The Diamondbacks of the 90s, which was purple and green, was great. It was their color scheme. It just worked very well. And then the Padres with the Tony Gwynn, the pinstripes are way better than whatever this brown, yellow awfulness that's going on right now is.
We were watching a Padres.
It's bad.
It wasn't the Cubs game. I think it was playing the Mets before the season ended. And I was watching it with my wife and some friends, and they were like, "Who's are they? They look like mustard and
it's
poop.
bad."
Like
the thing is that the old Padres uniforms, the orange and brown, like that's not a great color combo anyway.
Not.
It's way better than what they've got right now. I think my answer is the Denver Broncos. I think that's my final answer.
I was thinking about the NBA, and for the MLB,
well, they don't even wear uniform. None of them wear what they. Like they wear a different uniform every night.
I know.
None of them have the cities on them anymore.
Yeah.
You got the valley and the land and the who knows where. It's just the city.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
But I was thinking about the obviously the Supersonics if they were still around. I mean the Thunder's uniforms are horrible. Even like obviously they.
I don't hate the Thunder's uniforms.
They're not good. The orange and the blue is just it's not great. But and then the Timberwolves, they actually are going to be wearing their like 90s Kevin Garnett era, the black, and those are great.
The Raptors with the cartoon
the 90s,
Raptor thing.
The NBA 90s, the late 90s early 2000s were the best. They were so good.
Everyone thinks their childhood's the best, but that NBA on NBC theme with those ridiculous uniforms with Shaq and Barkley and Jordan and Ewing, like that was good stuff. I liked it.
All right, next one. What if you had to do away with either Tiger Stadium or Wrigley Field and make either one of those a dome?
I would dome Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, you have to. There's no way. You cannot touch Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
It can't be touched.
Now, I spend 8 Saturdays of every fall in Tiger Stadium, and I go to Wrigley. I mean, I was going once a year at a time there. Now I'm thinking it's going to be a once every 4 or 5 years trip. And so I'm going to go very infrequently, but there's just something special about the baseball, the outside Wrigley. The temperature is just better in Chicago for a lot of the year than it is for LSU games when it's really, really hot for 2 of the 3 months they play. But yeah, I realize it's sacrilege to people around here, but I actually like a dome. I love going to watch the Saints in a dome. I think it's awesome. It's climate controlled. I love that. I can't touch Wrigley.
No.
So I gotta go Tiger Stadium in a dome.
Yeah, and you could, and I don't even know that because sometimes people like to say, oh, well, when teams have to come to Tiger Stadium and they play in the humidity and heat, then it gives LSU an advantage. I'm like, sometimes, but most of the games you play against SEC teams who have to deal with that anyway, so it's not like it's that big of an advantage. And I think it'd be pretty nice to go to Tiger Stadium and it'd be 73 degrees in September and
every
August.
time.
That'd be great.
I mean, it rains a lot.
Yeah.
So I realize that we've got a great tradition.
No,
where we
it
say
never
it never
rains. Yeah,
which
but
is
it does.
Clearly debatable. You've got a lot of lightning delays in football these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll take it down.
Alrighty, next one here. What if the Cubs lose today?
I think the genesis of that question is is the season a failure? That's tough because you lost your best pitcher a week and a half before the playoffs started.
You did, but you also found your current best pitcher who is hurt, however. You did find him because of that.
No, I'm talking about Horton.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about losing Horton right at the end.
Steele.
Steele, I can't really. I mean, they don't have their number 2 Woodruff. That's kind of stuff happens. And you had the trade deadline to rectify that. You didn't have anything you could do to deal with Horton getting hurt in late September. It's probably about what you thought they would do. It's not a success.
No.
I would have a hard time calling it a fail. What the Orioles did was a failure.
Yes. I would say the Padres. I mean, obviously the Mets is the biggest failure.
Mets failure. But yeah, I mean, it's just disappointing. But you won a round, and you won 92 games, which is hard to complain about when considering that you lost your ace right at the start of the season, and you had your best player, Kyle Tucker, took half the year off. So yeah, I mean, it would just be about right at par.
Yeah, I would say so as well. All right, we got some in the chat here. Let's see. All right, what if Chris Blair retired and they asked you to become the voice of the Tigers?
I would have to think about it. They would never ask me because I'm not any good at that. But
I don't know if I'd say you're not any good at it.
But I've never called a basketball game. I've never called a football game.
You know basketball really well, though. I think you could handle it.
But I don't know if I want to work that many Saturdays with young kids. It would be away from them growing up and playing sports a lot, and I don't know if that's what I would want to do. So I'd have to think about it because that'd be an incredible honor. But that's real ambitious considering I have almost 0 qualifications for that.
All right, we got a few more. Let's see. What if Beck quit bugging us for what ifs? No, I mean, well, then we would not have as many what ifs probably because we just sometimes don't have a lot.
I enjoy the chat that feels they're being bugged for what ifs and wants to mute the show. It's just a personal, just an interactive thing.
It's always interesting. Yeah, sometimes I'll send a message in there about what we're talking about and people are like, we don't know what you're talking about. We're not even listening.
Hanging out. Hey, God bless you.
That's fine if you
want
to do
that.
Throw
a like in if you could. That'd be nice. Between conversations.
That would be nice. All right, well, how about this one? What if the Jazz never left New Orleans?
I mean, that would be awesome. They could go back to the Mardi Gras colors, and the Jazz are a great team name, and that would be very, very good. It doesn't make a lot of sense in Utah.
Nope.
And maybe there's a deeper-seated passion for that franchise in New Orleans.
The history,
if the generations were combined. You lost maybe a generation there.
You did.
Without having a team. So it's just the Saints are so interwoven into the fabric of that place, and I just don't get the sense the Pelicans are quite the same. That's probably because they were the Jazz, and then they left, and then they were the Hornets, and then they were the Pelicans, and then they don't win. And so it's that's just a tough. Not that the Saints have a decorated history; they have a decorated 15 years.
Yes, that's the thing. You have to have you either have to have a long history or you have to win a bunch. You can't. There's no in between. And the Pelicans and the Hornets,
Thunder have won a bunch. They're always good in the playoffs with the 2 different generations of it, with the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Durant years. And then you've got the Browns, who have sucked forever, but they're just there.
And they still have a big fan base, even though they suck. I mean, the Cubs were like that for so long. They were so bad. They were the lovable losers, but they still had some of the highest attendance in MLB because it was just the culture they had. So, the Jazz still being here, that would be awesome. And I do think they would still be big number two to the Saints for sure. But it still would that would have been a whole lot better than.
Did you hear what BI had to say at his press conference at their media day?
What, that New Orleans sucks? Or
Instead,
something?
it was nice to. It's going to be nice to have like the arena packed every game because that just wasn't the case in New Orleans.
Well,
and then one of the New Orleans writers that follows the Pels or bloggers or whatever was like, "Well, sir, you missed like 48% of your games
That's
when
true.
you were here, so you weren't actually in the arena either." Which,
very fair.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if injuries and,
Yeah, I don't know if that's
and
the
not
same,
coming to the
but-
game are quite the same. But hey, I understand taking up for your team. That it?
That's it.
That's it for What If Wednesday here on this, you guessed it, a Wednesday. We'll step aside. JD Piquel, host of The Hard Count on 3 Sports. Next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Everything they do over at Genesis of Baton Rouge just is attention to detail. I was walking through the facility and I saw this empty room. And I was like, there's nothing in this. What's the deal? Oh, this is our climate control room where we wheel in the new purchases so we can go over all the features for you and you don't have to stand in the rain or stand in the 103-degree blacktop in July. You can learn about this new vehicle in a climate-controlled area that's got AC. It's not something they had to put at the facility, but that's just part of being a Genesis driver, part of the process over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. I'm telling you, this is a luxury brand of vehicles. And when I say luxury brand of vehicle, don't automatically throw your hands up and go, oh, well, can't afford that because you've got that preconceived notion in your brain. Go see. Check out the inventory at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Go by and see them, airline at Piku. Just ask some questions. Say, I heard about you on Hunt. You're under no obligation, and I promise you, you're not going to get some salesperson breathing down your neck, upselling you, taking advantage of you. That's just not how they operate at Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're going to treat you as a guest, not a customer, and they're just going to help you in the buying experience. And then once you do make that purchase, 3 years of complimentary maintenance. They valet that. They come get your car, bring it back. It's just part of being a Genesis buyer. Put them on your list. Go by and see them. Airline at Pico. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Need security services you can count on? With Veteran Security Services, you're always protected. Locally owned and proudly serving the Gulf Coast, they're not some big national firm chasing profits. They're neighbors protecting neighbors. From petrochemical plants and healthcare facilities to port and maritime operations, Veteran Security delivers reliable protection you can trust. Choose community. Choose confidence. Choose Veteran Security Services. Visit veteransecurityfirm.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Trust isn't given, it's earned by showing up, leading the way, and performing at your best when it matters most. Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
I trust the lake.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
All right, chugging along here on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. JD still tied up a little bit, getting some things done on his end, so we're going to bump him back to hour number 2, which is just fine. Happy to do it. So we'll talk to JD 25 minutes from right now. Get his thoughts on a lot of things in college football, what's going on in Austin, Texas, what's going on in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania. Also want his thoughts on what's going on in South Beach, which Miami Hurricanes playing some good football. We'll also discuss some of the games coming up this week with JD Piquel. Let's transition to the Saints, and we want to talk about Chase Young. Ross Jackson has a piece up on LouisianaSports.net, and Ross is really good with an eye for these kind of things, as he's covered the Saints for a long time, understands how this transaction wire generally works. On Tuesday, the Saints made a flurry of roster moves. One was the signing of a veteran cornerback in Michael Davis. The Saints, in one of the other transactions, terminated the practice squad contract of Garrett Nelson, who's a linebacker and a pass rusher, which could open up a spot for Chase Young to return to the fold. Nelson was signed to the practice squad once Chase Young experienced that calf injury. That was during the first regular season practice. Young's been out for a month, 5 weeks. And so now that Nelson, who was brought in because of that, is on the way out, you can look at things and go, okay, well, you're looking at the active roster. You've got Cam Jordan. You've got Carl Granderson. You've got Chris Rumpf. That's really all you've got, because you've been elevating Fadil Diggs and Nico Leota from the practice squad. Diggs is out of standard elevations. You got 3 per player per year. And Nelson is out. So you're running low on numbers there. You start to read the tea leaves, which Ross has done very well, and you go, okay, seems like Chase Young probably ready to come back. And to me, this is a big deal. Not a big deal for this Saints team, because we know what they are. But it's a big deal for the Saints, because Chase Young is young enough and talented enough at a premium position where he could help become a cornerstone. It sounds crazy because we've known who Chase Young was for so long. He was a standout recruit at the high school level. If you follow college football and recruiting, you knew about him when he went to Ohio State. And then he became a superstar as a young player at Ohio State because of, one, his production, two, just the way he looks in a set of pads. Like, it's not a lot of guys that look like that. And in that 2019 season, Young was the best player on defense in college football. And so when you've known about somebody to their recruiting days in like 2017 into being a superstar in the college level in 2019, and you look up and it's 6 years later, you think of that person as being older. And he's older than that, but he's in his year 26 season. You got some prime left at 26. And I don't know when the Saints are planning on being a really, really good team, but a 26-year-old on this team can sure help. Now, I realize these are two very different positions, but allow me to have the exercise. Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck are about that age. There's a negligible amount of difference between Chase Young and those two. And we're talking about how young those two guys are all the time. Now, I realized there's a lot of 38-year-old quarterbacks, both starters and backups, not a lot of 38-year-old defensive end edge rushers, so I get it, different deal. But the point remains, like, he's not that old a player. And he's not super expensive. And he likes it in New Orleans. Chase Young could have signed a multitude of other places in the offseason after he did pretty well in that one-year prove-it deal with the Saints. It wasn't phenomenal, but he did play in all 17 games. And he had 5.5 sacks. And if you look at the advanced analytics and the pass rush win rate and the pressures and the hurries and those type of things, he showed himself to be a productive player. Is he knocking down the door of NFL Defensive Player of the Year? No. But is he productive? Yeah. And you're looking at Kool-Aid McKinstry, who today was named the NFC's Defensive Player of the Week. And you're looking at Brzee, who made a couple plays and looks to be pretty solid player on the interior. And you signed Carl Granderson to a multi-year deal. And you feel like you really have something in Jonas Sanker. And you've invested in Justin Reed. And there are some guys who on this defense you feel like could be here next year and the year after and the year after. And you don't look too far down the line in the NFL unless you're got quarterback. But if you're looking at 1, 2, 3 years away, Chase Young could be a part of that. And you want him to continue to play. And you want him to be a part of Brandon Staley's scheme. And you want all of your complementary pieces available as you build this foundation. And as much as I love Cam Jordan, as much as he deserves everything he gets in terms of honors with that franchise, including potentially a gold jacket for the NFL Hall of Fame, he's not going to be a piece to the next good Saints team. He's just not. I don't think Demario Davis is either. And you need those guys as locker room guys right now, but you need Chase Young as a player. And I want to see Brandon Staley's defense with Chase Young in the fold. I want to see if Chase Young's ability as a pass rusher helps Kool-Aid McKinstry, helps Alontae Taylor, helps your young corners, because he is creating pressures on quarterbacks who are having to make decisions more quickly to allow those guys to develop. So this is something I want to see quickly, and I think can help. I'm probably too bullish on Chase Young when you just look at his stat sheet. You're looking at a guy who last year 5.5 sacks, the year before that 7.5 sacks, and then in 12 games previous to that 2.5 sacks. It's not what you would have expected from the second pick in the draft. He's not as productive as the Bosa boys. He's not as productive as Aiden Hutchinson. He hasn't made the impact that certainly Myles Garrett has. And these are his contemporaries when it comes to collegiate production and draft slot and play in the NFL. But I do think he can be a big-time piece to what you're doing. And at 6'5", 265 pounds, like, I'm ready to see him in the fold. So hopefully this news is announced sooner rather than later, and that you do get the word that he's going to be active and he's going to be in the mix on Sunday. And then hopefully he's getting after Drake May in this Patriots offense on Sunday in the Dome. And you got Granderson on the other side, and you've got Brzee in the middle who's disruptive. And you feel like you're starting to find maybe a strength of the defense in some fairly young players who are winning at the line of scrimmage. Because if you're going to win in the NFL, you got to win at the line of scrimmage. Chase Young can help the Saints win at the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the football. No question about that. So is it a big deal for the Saints making the playoffs this year? No. Is it a big deal that Chase Young continues to develop and play in this scheme and help not only win at the point of attack, but help those young defensive backs develop in the process by speeding quarterbacks up? Yeah, it is. So I'm looking forward to seeing Chase Young, hopefully in the Dome on Sunday, add to that career sack total of 22. Missed a month with that pesky calf injury, but seems like things are trending towards his return. You're looking for our Saints coverage, you can find it at LouisianaSports.net for free. Our guy Ross Jackson all over things over there. Injury report every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and just for free content every single day. Also, from my perspective, Hunt on Saints is our YouTube channel covering all things black and gold. You can find our work there each and every day on YouTube or wherever you find your podcast. Appreciate y'all for subscribing up to that channel, helping it grow as it has. Saints coming off a win. We'll see what they can do. I want to preview the Patriots as we move forward in this week. All right, still plenty to do. As we mentioned, we'll get to J.D. Piquel coming up in 15 minutes to start off hour number 2. Also have our SEC football power rankings. I went through those earlier today. I got my stats down here. Not massive movement. The biggest mover moved 3 slots this week, but a lot of 1s and 2s where sort of some shuffling, especially at the top of those power rankings. So we'll get to those 45 minutes from right now. When we come back, we will close out hour number 1 on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com. Right now, great time to make a phone call and start building that pool of your dreams. You can take your time with the design process. You won't feel like you're rushed. Try to make sure you sneak it into the back end of summer. We're knocking on the door of Halloween here. I realize it's still pushing 90 degrees, and if you do have a pool, you can spend some time out there. But if you don't have one, right now is the time to get that design started, and you can do it with my guy Joey Blanchard and the folks at Renaissance Homes and Pools. I'll give you Joey's cell. You work with him. He's the owner of the company. You start with him. You work with him. You finish with him. His cell is 225, of course, 252-7745. That's 252-7745. Looking to put that pool of your dreams in. Looking to get that outdoor entertaining space, that outdoor kitchen installed to make sure it is ready for the spring months, even the fall. Joey Blanchard can get that done for you at Renaissance Homes and Pools. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. Builtbyrenaissance.com.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Children's School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to dreampoolla.com and you can find out how your $25 donation might help win you a Duplessis pool.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1 here on this Wednesday. Appreciate you hanging out with us. JD Pical in 10 minutes, talking college football, SEC football power rankings at the bottom of hour number 2. Brian Kelly was on the SEC teleconference earlier today, and Shea Dixon from On 3 asked what I thought was an interesting question. It was very open-ended and allowed Brian Kelly to kind of go wherever he wanted with it. He asked about what you look for in making changes on the offensive line mid-season without injury. Like, what are you looking for from your guys up there to make sure that they hold a spot or can win a spot later in the season? This is what Brian Kelly had to say.
We've got a couple of young players. When is the right time to insert them? And I think for us, and for me in particular, inserting a young player into the lineup is when you know that one play is not going to affect his second or third or fourth or fifth play. And so emotional maturity is really, really important. We were able to play 2 freshmen here early in my career because they had emotional stability. And so gauging that with consistency in making sure that they know what they're doing every snap. I'm okay with a mistake or two from some young players. What I can't have is catastrophic mistakes. So that's the evaluation process, really, in terms of when we may insert somebody into the lineup midseason.
And I think the obvious person you're talking about here is Carius Kern, whether that's at right tackle for Weston Davis, whether that's at left guard where Paul Mabenga's banged up and Chester's kind of your swing man and Cohen Eccles has played a little bit. Does Kern get an opportunity in that spot as well? You heard Brian Kelly, when asked about Carius Kern in Oxford, said, yeah, reminded me of a young Emory Jones, made some, hustle mistakes, but he's out there, doing it as fast as he could and as hard as he can. And I think that's really good. I want to be very clear about this. When you talk about emotional maturity, he was talking about Will Campbell and Emory Jones. They played as true freshmen because they had a lot of emotional maturity and could play the tackle spot well because they wouldn't let a bad rep affect the next rep. And I want to be very clear. Carius Kern has had a lot of practice at LSU, relatively speaking. Like, he's had a spring, he's had a fall camp, he's had game weeks practice. I have seen with my own 2 eyes, 5% of Carius Kern's practices. I cannot speak to his entire body of work. We did see Carius Kern get really frustrated one fall camp practice. He threw his helmet down, was walked off the field because he kept jumping off sides, and he had to go and be taken away from practice. So that was one time in months of practice. So I can't tell you that's exactly the guy he is every single day. That's not what I'm trying to say, but I am saying I did see him lose his cool. I did see him lose his ability to stay focused as a young player, and that happens sometimes. But I think everybody is going to be looking at Carius Kern in this game on Saturday because you have an injury at left guard, you have Weston Davis coming back from an injury at right tackle, you have a week off prior to this game, and Kern is healthy. Like, does he play? And we'll get our answer. Kelly will tell us Paul Mabenga's availability with the availability report Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you get your first one this evening. You get another one Thursday, and Fridays will tell you what Paul Mabenga's doing. I've seen now enough through 5 weeks that I know that Brian Kelly is not making stuff up on the injury report. Les Miles, given his track record, may have. Lane Kiffin certainly does. Brian Kelly doesn't. So if it's doubtful on Friday, he's not going to play. If it's questionable on Friday, they'll have to see. If he is probable tomorrow, then he's going to be in there. Well, he's available. But you'll know Mabenga's status soon. And then in pregame warmups, you'll see what 5 guys are out there when Garrett Nussmeier's taking pregame snaps. And that will tell you kind of what they think about where Carius Kern is. We all understand that LSU's offensive line must play better. We get that. We know that. The question is that development from the 5 guys you trusted to start the season? Or is there a young player who's now prepared to go in and try to take one of those spots and improve with a substitution as opposed to development? I don't know yet. I'm not at practice. But I think we'll get that figured out. And I think that Brian Kelly's telling the truth when he talks about what he's looking for in terms of a young player. And I'll say this to kind of put a bow on it. This is purely speculation on my part. Purely speculation. I think Brian Kelly's answer there suggests they're trying to get Carius Kern in the game. I think if that was not something they were looking at, if a healthy Mabenga and a healthy Weston Davis were just going to be in there, I think he would have said, yeah, we evaluate everybody every week, and right now we're very comfortable with the guys we had. They're getting better. and we don't feel like there's any need to shake things up at this point. I think he would probably give you something like that. But when you tell me, well, we're looking at some young players and we need consistency in performance, we need to have guys who are mature. We can take some mistakes if they're made at the right speed and if the next rep is good and not something that's carrying over rep to rep. Like, he's going into detail of the things that he's thinking, I think, and probably doing at this point. This is, again, purely speculation on my point. I think there's a good chance Carius Curran starts the game on Saturday. Whether that's because Paul Mabenga can't play, whether that's because he's beaten out Weston Davis, I don't know what the answer to that is. But I think there's a good chance Carius Curran is in the lineup on Saturday. So look at some offensive line stuff, wrapping up hour number 1. Did a lot in our first hour. Had What If Wednesday. I talked a little bit of Saints as well. Opened the show breaking down Lenora Sellers in the South Carolina Gamecocks. You can catch all of that on demand wherever you find your sound. We're going to pause for national headlines and sports, and then we'll get back to the national landscape with JD McKell of 1-3 Sports.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Ed Benkin. The baseball playoffs continue today with the Division Series quadruple header. All 4 games will be on ESPN Radio, with the first about to get underway in Detroit. The Tigers host the Mariners, with Seattle looking to advance to the ALCS with a 2-1 series lead. The Brewers will be at the Cubs today, up 2-0, trying to sweep Chicago at Wrigley. Cubs manager Craig Counsell talked about what his team has to do as they face elimination today.
We've had experience with it. We just did it on Thursday, and now we're going to have to do it 3 times. But in the end, it boils down to just taking care of pitches, taking care of the moment.
Also, the Blue Jays will be at the Yankees, with Toronto up 2-1. And the Phillies play the Dodgers in L.A. Dodgers looking for a sweep up 2-0. NFL news, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson did not practice again today, still dealing with a hamstring injury. Yesterday, the Bengals acquired quarterback Joe Flacco in a trade. Today, Coach Zach Taylor announced Flacco will make his first start on Sunday when the Bengals play the Packers. Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray missed practice today. He is dealing with a foot injury. WNBA Finals Game 3 tonight on ESPN, 8 Eastern.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Thursday. The Eagles are 4-1. I'll tell you why a loss to my Giants would mean it's time to panic in Philly. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Half the work week officially in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Auto Locks up at LouisianaSports.net, looking to get a bet down on the baseball action today. Get over to LouisianaSports.net for free and see what Jimmy is picking. He picked both yesterday, had them both on the money. So we'll see what happens today in Major League Baseball. Let's talk some college football. JD McKell, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports. Good enough to give us some time on Wednesdays. JD, how we feeling?
Brother, I'm doing great. I'm doing better now that I'm on with you. This week in college football, man, give me the heebie-jeebies. A lot of heebie-jeebie games. Michigan, 2.5-point dog at USC. USC with that run defense, getting 2.5 points. Interesting. Ohio State, like a 3-score favorite when it opened on the road to the top 20 Illinois. A lot of heebie-jeebie, a lot of weird, but that's why we love it, man. Glad to be on with y'all.
Let's play a little game here, JD. I've not prepped you for this in any way, but I feel you're more than equipped to handle it. I'm going to give you a team, and you tell me if you would be shocked if they reached the national championship game. Now, maybe not win it, but would you be shocked if they got to the final? Indiana.
Great. Shock level would be go 6. I'll go 7. I'll go 7 just because that would mean that they were able to get through a number of really high-profile rosters in the playoff. But I think that Indiana is a team that could absolutely make it just because I think they're built for it, man. Like I think that we look at that logo and we immediately think, oh, Hoosiers was a great movie. Oh, I love their pants they wear for basketball. What a fun thing for Indiana. But like, they're top 10 in America in tackles for a loss and in sacks. Like they actually have the big boys, I think, to at least compete with some of these other really high-profile rosters. So them going and winning like 3 or 4 games and finding themselves in the title game would be a touch more on the shocking side, but not shocked to where it's like, holy cow, what dream is this? Where am I? And is it Wednesday? I have to talk to Hunt today.
Texas A&M.
I'd probably be a 5. I think they're the most complete team in the SEC. Okay. I like Marcel Reed. We'd like to see more consistency. But I mean, I think their weapon. The thing with A&M to me, Hunt, the first time in maybe a decade plus, we know who they are in October. We don't know what they're going to accomplish, but we know who their quarterback is. We know what their line of scrimmage is. We know they have really good weapons. We know they have a real identity in Mike Elko, and so I think that plus their schedule, Would not be shocked if they caught fire in the playoff, found themselves in the title game whatsoever.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, I'll go 6, not to pepper around the 5 to 7 range here, but I'll go 6. I'm still waiting for Trinidad Chambliss. Is there like a turn back into a pumpkin moment that we see from him? I think that shock level probably decreases if they make the playoff, which I think they will. But overall, I'm still a little bit like, give me a minute on Ole Miss. Like don't know if I love them so much just to be a national title contender.
And this one requires a little bit of thought, but Notre Dame?
Notre Dame, to me, is riding that Roy bus. I'd probably put Notre Dame closer to like 3.5, 4.
Really?
Because my big question is, like, are they going to get in the playoff? Like, they're going to play USC, and even if they beat USC, I don't know if they have like a stand-on-the-table win that gets them in if they're the 10-2 team compared to like, even if it's like a 10-2 Penn State, like 10-2 Penn State, yeah, the UCLA loss is an absolute black eye on what you did this year, but 10-2 means you beat Indiana and you beat Ohio State. So I think the biggest question for me is, like, can they just make the dance? Like, if they make the dance, I trust Marcus Freeman and that beautiful hairline to go on a run, but getting in the first place is what would give me the most anxiety for them. So I'll go ahead and say like 4 to be on the more positive side of things for the Irish.
All right, that's the 4 that I kind of wanted to get your temperature on here at this point. I mean, for Notre Dame, it's like they have the losses look really good, but you would think you got to have a win. All right, let's talk about some teams. What are your thoughts on Texas right now?
I think Arch is just the absolute whipping boy for not just college football public, but like the public in general now. We got the New York Times article talking about it being a flop. Like, that's the whole – I think I was proud of us college football fans that we all sniffed that out as just bull junk and right away. Even Oklahoma fans were like, no, that's a little bit much. The thing that's concerning to me about Texas, Hunt, is I watched that Florida game, and I'm like, yeah, Arch is missing some throws. Arch is making turnovers. Like, that's not a good look. But gosh dang, my whole thing with Texas before the year was I like what's around Arch so much to where I'm okay if he's not great from the jump. And it was not that way at all in games. When they got blown off the ball on both sides of the line of scrimmage, Arch was harassed all day long. I don't see somebody that's like a true separator for them on the perimeter. So Arch is kind of the front man for all the issues, but the issues are beyond Arch Manning, and I don't know if it's going to get talked about enough. But should get talked about more if they lose in Red River.
All right, let's talk about Ohio State going to Champaign. You mentioned the spread, 14.5 here. Illinois did not stay in their first test. Indiana ran them off the field. Can they find a way to stay within 2 touchdowns against Ohio State?
That must have gotten bet down. I think it opened to like 16.5, and I was like, holy smokes. I don't think they can. And some of this is me trusting that the people building the skyscrapers in Vegas and their track record, they know something with that number being as big as it is. But when you look closer at Illinois, like the numbers on defense, I won't waste our time. They're bad. Yeah. They're like low 90s, triple digits in a lot of those categories. And so if USC can go for 364 on through the air against them, I shudder to think what like a Jeremiah Smith and a Carnell Tate could do to them. It would take a Julian Sayin freshman gutter ball kind of game for Illinois to be in it. But with how efficient he's looked, man, I have a hard time seeing that happening. So I'll take Ohio State to win, to cover, and to see the 2.0 version of the offense for the Buckeyes continue to show up with them pushing the ball downfield with the young Jedi Saiyan Skywalker.
I'm very disappointed, but I am drinking the Ty Simpson Kool-Aid right now. I just think he's playing great. They got an 11 o'clock kickoff in Como. Little bit sleepy for Alabama, but the number's short. It's 2.5. What do you give Coach Drink's team's chances there against the Tide?
I'm going to reverse the whole Bama experience right now. Georgia was awesome. The Vandy game was huge because they had that edge they were playing with. Diego Pavia's talking his cash, and Bama's got to get their lick back in Tuscaloosa. But Hunt, that first quarter, Vandy's running the football. They look like the more violent team. They gave Bama some trouble running the ball in general. Ahmad Hardy, I know everyone's beat this point to death, but he's leading the country, and when it comes to yards per carry, I believe, or yards overall when it comes to what he's done on the ground. Bo Padula got some shake and bake to him. I think Missouri wins that game, Hunt. I think it's the 11 a.m. kick of it all. I think it is the draw a line in the sand kind of moment for Eli Drink with his team. I think it's also the spot for Alabama where you have this stretch of 2 games that should be pretty like emotionally and physically taxing. Plus next week you look ahead to Tennessee, so you got the look ahead plus letdown juice there that you're drinking if you're Bama. The big stat for me in this one: Missouri is number 1 in time of possession in college football. Now they've played Kansas and South Carolina, but still that stat, if they're even close to looking like that against Alabama, I think they win. I think it's like walk-off field goal-ish for Missouri, and they get a win at home over Bama.
When LSU plays at night, really the only slate of games I can watch is that first slate at 11 o'clock because I'm doing pregame, and then I've got the LSU game, and then I got postgame, and I just can't watch very much. I can watch Missouri and Alabama. I'm looking forward to that coming up on Saturday. One that I won't watch because LSU kicks off at the same time is Georgia at Auburn on the Plains. Auburn 3-2 has just lost 2 games on the road, but it's only a 3.5-point line with Georgia heading across state lines to Jordan-Hare. You think Auburn's got a chance to win this game?
I think they do. I wouldn't feel that way if it was in Athens, but doesn't it just have such a weird, creepy
Auburn
environment? Yeah, it's got an Auburn vibe to it, doesn't it? I mean, plus you got the fact that it's a first-year starter in Stockton and a bunch of young players for Georgia. I'm like, there's a lot about this where if I'm a Georgia fan, I'm like, I don't feel great about it. I don't think I'm picking us to lose, but I don't feel great about it. So I feel that exact same way as someone as a third party here breaking it down. I do think Georgia still wins because I have a hard time seeing Kirby let that team lose against what that Auburn team has looked like at this point in the year. But man, if that's not one that's like what's going on in the third and fourth quarter, hey, where are we at right now? Jackson Arnold in this game, brother. If there was a time, Jackson, if you're listening, like, this is the spot. You got a secondary that's been extremely gettable to this point in the year. You have 2 receivers, Singleton and Cam Coleman, that can go like legit win for you. Like, let it rip, Jackson. With Jordan-Hare at your back, brother, go cement yourself as one of those guys we talk about here for years to come. Whenever we break down this game going forward, say, well, yeah, quarterback play doesn't look great for Auburn right now, but Jackson Arnold, he got right against Georgia that one year. It could happen. So it's one of those it could happen games, but I really do think that Georgia ultimately will have too much on the line of scrimmage to let it get to be a point where Auburn wins that game at home.
This is one of those games that you would have looked forward to and may still be, obviously, with the redesign of the conferences. But Michigan's going to the Coliseum to play USC. Are we supposed to care about that game with these 2 teams in this season? What's the read on that?
It's a very fair prologue you just provided there because of what you just said with Michigan, USC. They both kind of feel like, hey, next year sort of teams. But I think for Michigan, the thing that's interesting about them, their 2-game stretch here between USC and then playing Washington next weekend, that's going to determine, I think, what the Ohio State game is for them. Like, if you lose both these games coming up, you're 9-3, heading into that game probably, and 9-3 is probably not a college football playoff situation for you. If you were to lose that game to Ohio State, that is. Or 8-3, I should say. Final answer, 8-3 for Michigan, 3 losses. But, if you go split those 2 and you beat Michigan State, if you're Michigan, like, okay, we play Ohio State likely as a team that's 9-2 with a chance to punch our ticket to the college football playoff with a win. And then for USC, if you can beat Michigan, okay, well, some confidence is up for the Notre Dame game. And then November, we got a couple of games that look more winnable than before if we had, dropped that game. So I say all that to say, I think it's a big hinge point for both teams in their season. And I think both these teams, the winner of this, will have a workable path, not the most manageable, but workable to where you could talk me into them being a team that backdoors into the college football playoff as an at-larger. So I will care about it. I think it'll be fun based on just it being a great helmet matchup and 2 exciting quarterbacks. But I'm with you in the sense that I think both these teams, if you're talking like national title aspirations, you'd look probably past this year to have that discussion.
2 more. We'll get to LSU South Carolina pick at the end here. What do we make of what has gone on in the last 2 weeks in Happy Valley and with James Franklin? Big deal? Not a big deal? What do we think?
I think big deal because they just took their eye off the ball against UCLA. And obviously everyone saw that and knows that. But to me, the comparison for me is like Penn State's always had allergies against top 10 teams, and every single year you just charge it to allergies. Well, yeah, they don't look great, but it's top 10 teams because James Franklin just loses the top 10 teams. But now, like, that's a new symptom, losing to a team that hasn't won a game. That's like Penn State always, for better or for worse, against top 10 teams, they beat who they were supposed to be. So that makes me really nervous. I worry about how good of I wonder what the week was like at Penn State going into the UCLA game, because you had just lost to Oregon, and you would think, okay, now we get our Ohio State on compared to what happened last year where they kind of flipped the switch. Now we flip our switch and we go play our best ball, and it looked like none of that conversation actually happened in Unhappy Valley these days. So I'm very concerned about Penn State.
All right, LSU, South Carolina, Tiger Stadium, Saturday night. Nussmeier, Sellers, been a little bit underwhelming to this point, but somebody's got to find a little bit of rhythm and win a game on Saturday. Who you like?
There's a Colby Calais song called "I Won't Give Up on Us." That's kind of how I feel about LSU. I won't give up. That's kind of how I feel about LSU these days, Hunt. I can see a world where Tatum Durham back, a little bit different approach to manufacturing a run game. We got the window dressing. It's more displacement over physical domination to run the ball. Nussmeier had a week to get healthy. I think LSU wins the game. I think they cover. And I also think that they have suffered from having the bye week. When they lost to Ole Miss, everyone had their take. Brian Kelly's this, he's that. And, all that was valid. It was fair. But there was not a game following that weekend where LSU got to add or change that narrative. It just persisted for 2 weeks. So a narrative going for 2 weeks in some people's mind becomes factual. I think LSU sets the record straight. And they don't look incredible, but they look better and keep me hoping for another week as someone holding this national title ticket for the Tigers. I think they get it done at home.
Let's hope so. JD Piquel, host of The Hard Count, looking for your college football content. You can find it on their YouTube channel, wherever you find your podcasts. Find him on Twitter, JD Piquel. Thanks, man.
Love you, brother. Talk to you soon.
Sure will. That is JD Piquel. He's with us every single Wednesday here. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. SEC Power Rankings in 15 minutes. Come back with more.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Look, Jonathan Carver and his team understand the captive world, and not every broker in the insurance marketplace does. Not every insurance broker has access to captives. Not all of them understand them. They work with them every day at the Highland Insurance Group. So if you're a business owner, you feel like your insurance costs are just prohibitive and they're getting worse and worse over time, and you just got to make a change and find another option, and you haven't seen captives, the Highland Insurance Group can do it. Go to HighlandIG.com, fill out that information, contact them here in Baton Rouge, say, hey, I'd love to have the conversation. You may fit, and it may be a game changer for your business. You may not, but you won't know unless you make the phone call to Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. I tell you this is just my opinion as someone who spent time in insurance. I think that captives are the future of insurance. You've got to fit. You've got to have great loss history, great risk management, and your premium's got to be substantial. But if all those boxes are checked and you do fit, it can be a bottom line difference maker for your business in the terms of insurance. So contact the Highland Insurance Group and see if they can help you with that. It's HighlandIG.com. They're here in Baton Rouge, can help you out statewide. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Need security services you can count on? With Veteran Security Services, you're always protected. Locally owned and proudly serving the Gulf Coast, they're not some big national firm chasing profits. They're neighbors protecting neighbors. From petrochemical plants and healthcare facilities to port and maritime operations, Veteran Security delivers reliable protection you can trust. Choose community. Choose confidence. Choose Veteran Security Services. Visit veteransecurityfirm.com.
While Louisiana politics can seem like they're from another planet, Moon Griffon isn't afraid to bring politicians back down to earth. Listen to the Moon Griffon Show weekday mornings at 9 on Talk 107.3.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Children's School.
Make your backyard's dream.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com, built by Renaissance.com. We all know that LSU is trying to find some rhythm in the passing game. I found it interesting, and it was something that I agreed with, and you've heard me say this if you listen with any sort of frequency. Brian Kelly said last week, like, we've got to find some rhythm in the passing game. We were elite at that last year, and we just haven't really found it. And everyone wants to harp on the running game for good reason. You got to get better running the ball. You have to get better running the ball. But LSU's also got to get better at passing the ball, and I feel like the path to substantial improvement passing the ball is easier explained because you've got a quarterback who's done it and wide receivers who have done it, and the offensive line hasn't been terrible in pass protection. Like, I just feel like they need to find more in the passing game, and that certainly is going to entail some help from the running game to displace the defense and allow some cleaner windows to throw through. But one of the other things that Brian Kelly was asked about on Monday and talked about was the rotation at wide receiver. Nobody's really broken out at this point from a wide receiver perspective. Baryon Brown has 25 catches to lead the way, 239 yards. That's under 50 yards a game. Aaron Anderson has played in 5 games. One of those was cut short in Oxford, obviously, but he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. Xavier Thomas has a pair of touchdowns, but he's got 178 yards total receiving on the season. Kyle Parker has got 9 catches for 91 yards and a score. Nick Anderson has 2 touchdown catches. One of them wasn't even thrown to him. He just caught it off the ricochet. You've got all these talented guys, and you haven't necessarily gotten anybody going. And the question to Brian Kelly was like, how do you handle the rotation of your wide receivers over the course of a game?
I think last week or 2 weeks ago, you saw less personnel moving in and out of the game at the wide receiver position. We were setting almost every play for a particular player. And in some instances, that's good. But sometimes you don't get the flow of the game, right? There's 2 things going on. So I think we felt more comfortable what the rotation was last week in terms of our receivers being in and out of the game.
It's interesting. That's saying that we've got different wide receivers. We know that. They have different skill sets. Baryon Brown's skill set doesn't look like Nick Anderson's skill set. Xavier Thomas's skill set doesn't look exactly like Nick Anderson's skill set. You're talking about guys that have differing abilities. Chris Hilton and Kyle Parker don't play the same. So you're trying to get guys on the field to do the things that they do best. And maybe that's creating a little bit of a disjoining effect. You can't get into a rhythm. Maybe there are too many guys that Garrett Nussmeier is trying to get in tune with, and it's just hard to do that with 5 or 6 guys as opposed to 2 or 3. In 2019, you knew who it was going to be. It was going to be Chase, Jefferson, Marshall. That's it. Those are the guys. 2 years ago in 23, like Neighbors, Thomas, Lacey. You knew. And while I don't think LSU has anybody of Jamar Chase's capability on this team, I don't think anybody has Brian Thomas or Malik Neighbors' capability on this team. I think there's something in continuity, and it just hasn't quite worked itself out. So the question is, like, who do you need to go to more often? And I think the answer right now, they feel like Barrion Brown, Aaron Anderson, Xavion Thomas are the guys that are the most consistent. Now, those guys are all sub 6'1". They're all quick. They're all fast. You don't have a lot of catch radius with any of them. You don't have a lot of size to box defenders out. You don't have a lot of leaping ability. So it's a lot of the same stuff. And maybe Nick Anderson gives you some of that. And certainly Trey'Dez Green gives you that. And I don't want to sit Chris Hilton for 4 quarters, but he hasn't been involved very much. Chris Hilton's got 4 catches. His long of the year is 11 yards. So maybe you're going to see that tighten up. I can't give you a definite on that, but it sounds like that from what Brian Kelly is saying, and it feels like that's coming. And he gave another quote on kind of getting the passing game up and running with a little bit of continuity.
I think at the end of the day, it's more explosive plays. We were 1 of 7 when we threw the ball down the field. We've got to hit some of those shots that we came up short on. Those are big plays that usually led themselves for us to touchdowns. So big plays down the field, we've got to hit on those. And then I think finding a nice rhythm offensively where we're not, going over the boards every time, on a shift change. We've got to be a little bit more consistent with our flow.
Does this feel any different if Garrett Nussmeier hits Barrion Brown on the first drive against Tech and hits Chris Hilton in the second half against Ole Miss? Like, does this discussion feel different? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does. I don't know. I'm having a hard time with that hypothetical. It was one throw against Louisiana Tech. It was in the first drive. If he misfires like he did the rest of that night, do I feel differently about it? I'm not sure. You hit that big play to Hilton against Ole Miss, maybe you feel a little bit differently. And if I'm allowed to take that hypothetical one further, am I allowed to go, well, if he does that, you feel like he's healthy and that everything's available to you and that you have hit some big plays, the numbers look a little bit better. And Nussmeier adds 65, 70 yards against Louisiana Tech. He adds 40 more against Ole Miss. That's another 100 yards, 20 yards per game. It's 2 touchdowns. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I still haven't given up on them being really good throwing the ball. I have kind of given up on the run game. I've kind of given up. If they prove me wrong, they prove me wrong. But I said for anyone to hear 2 weeks ago, this show, pregame on the network, interview in Shreveport, interview in Lafayette, interview in New Orleans, writing on LouisianaSports.net, anywhere anyone consumes any of my content, I said they're not going to run the ball on Ole Miss. Yeah, I know Ole Miss is the worst run defense in the SEC. I know. But they're way better than Southeastern. They're way better than Tech, and LSU couldn't run it on them. So why would I think they were going to step up and run against Ole Miss? I've given up on that to an extent. I have not given up on their ability to throw the ball better. And I don't know how I would handle the rotation at wide receiver. I see great reasons to have Barrion Brown out there, to have Aaron Anderson out there, to have Bauer Sharp out there, to have Nick Anderson out there, to have Chris Hilton out there, Trey'Dez Green. Like, I see reasons to get all those guys involved. If you tell me that it's better for the quarterback to rep all week with 3 guys and put those 3 guys out there more often, I'll understand that too. That has to be something the coaches figure out. But something's got to get better throwing the football. And if it's the quarterback's ab strain or a tightening of the wide receiver rotation or a change in defensive philosophy because you've run the ball more often, if not better, so be it. Like, it's up to the coaching staff to figure it out. I don't get paid to figure that out. But somebody's got to figure that out. And it sounds like to me some tweaks were made during the bye week. And I sit here on Wednesday for a Saturday game, and the optimist in me says, okay, and keep in mind, there's some pessimists there that just gave up on the running game. I'm not all optimist all the time, but I've given up on that. There's some optimism in me that goes, okay, the quarterback took a week off throwing, maybe healthier. The staff had a chance to self-scout, maybe saw some things. They think the wide receiver group can be tightened to increase continuity and create some more explosive plays down the field. Maybe it comes. Our discussion changes if they come out on Saturday and throw for 345 and 4 touchdowns, which is possible. Nussmeier torched this team through the air a lot of last year. I'm not calling it likely, and I'm telling you that the same conversation, I mean, they come out there and throw for 211 and no touchdowns and a pick, and Nussmeier ducks a deep ball, and you lose the game. Like, that changed our conversation too. That Monday conversation is not out of the question at all. But we're still looking for a change. And if the change doesn't come, the pessimism grows. If the change does come, the optimism can follow. And yes, I know. I came here after the Southeastern game and said I thought the quarterback looked healthy. I was wrong, because he didn't look healthy against Ole Miss. I'm guessing on that. But we'll see. LSU in South Carolina. 6:45 on Saturday night in Death Valley. Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. We will come back with a new edition of SEC Football Power Rankings next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com. America's best warranty. Love telling you about it because it is real. It's industry leading. Powertrain warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles. Bumper-to-bumper new vehicle warranty, 5 years, 60,000 miles. Industry leading stuff. How great is it? If an issue arises with your vehicle, that can be a disheartening feeling, right? You know you got that warranty, just makes things all the more better. Enhanced 24/7 roadside assistance, 5 years, unlimited miles. Complimentary scheduled maintenance. No one wants to deal with the oil change. No one wants to deal with the air filter. No one wants to deal with the wiper fluid or getting those wipers changed. You don't have to for 3 years. They come get your car and handle it. You don't pay for it, and they drive you a loaner. Beautiful. It's a luxury vehicle at a reasonable price. Get on by and see them, airline at PQ, or online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Trust isn't given, it's earned by showing up, leading the way, and performing at your best when it matters most.
Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
I trust the lake.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from my loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up.
Fun show, fast-moving show here on this Wednesday. Half that work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us, open things up, talking about Lenora Sellers and the South Carolina offense. Did some What If Wednesday, talked Chase Young and the Saints. J.D. Piquel from the Hard Count was good enough to give us a little bit of time in the second hour as well. Always invite you, go check things out on demand at 1045ESPN.com's On Demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can find us. If you're just looking for LSU, you can find us at Hunt on LSU. Just looking for Saints, you can find us at Hunt on Saints. And, of course, always remind you about LouisianaSports.net. It's been remarkable kind of see the growth of LouisianaSports.net over the course of this calendar year. We launched in August of last year. You know, obviously, in its infancy for football season last year. Got a nice head of steam from baseball and the run that they made to a national championship in the spring into the summer, and then this football season's just been incredible. So appreciate y'all for seeking that out, making that part of your day, and giving us the positive feedback that you have. It's been great to be a part of. So thank y'all once again. Let's crank it up. Some SEC football power rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. The Alabama Crimson Tide.
I don't like him there. And JD just picked Missouri to win, which makes me feel good because I hope Missouri does win. But for right now, I like the way Ty Simpson's playing. I know that Vanderbilt played him tight for a quarter. It didn't look great. Played him tight for a half. Didn't look great for Alabama. But they imposed their will. They got the turnovers they needed, and they won the game. So I think that's a good thing for the Tide. There have been a lot of teams that haven't won games, so I'll take Alabama number one.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
I moved Georgia back one and Oklahoma up one this week. I don't have a great reason for it. I like Oklahoma's defense a lot. We'll see what they're able to do this weekend against Texas, and we'll also see whether or not John Mateer plays. I think he probably will.
He said that he is planning on playing.
Clearly, but that would be what you would tell.
Yeah, of course. You're not going to say you aren't
So,
planning on it.
And this could change the way I view Oklahoma, because I do think that Texas defense is still decent. Their offense is garbage, so I think they're going to have trouble scoring on Saturday. But I like Oklahoma too.
Oh, hold on one second.
Okay.
Had an issue here. All right.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Building suspense. That's all that is. The Georgia Bulldogs they're just not the dominant force they once were. And that's maybe holding them against their own standard, which is definitely unfair in this exercise. They're really good. Would it shock me if they made the playoff? No. Would it shock me if they advanced in the playoff? No. Would it shock me if they got to the national final and won it? No. But I got them at 3.
Texas A&M.
Aggies move up a spot. They just annihilated Mississippi State in the second half. I know Mississippi State's not good, but they just have A&M's got a confidence about them. They're playing much better on defense than they did early in the season. Marcel Reed's pretty good. They can run the ball. They've got an identity. Like, they're good. It's disgusting to watch, but they're good.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
I backed Ole Miss up a spot there. I just think that A&M jumped them. That's not obviously anything Ole Miss did. They were off last week. But I like what Ole Miss is. I think they're top 5 in the SEC. I think they're a likely playoff team in my estimation. They'd have to have it go sideways and lose really all 3 of their biggest games moving forward. But I moved A&M in front of them.
The Missouri Tigers.
From the Show Me State, they're going to have to show me something on Saturday. A really light schedule at the top there for Missouri. They were going to have to get off to a great start. They did. Now they got Alabama coming to Columbia. 11 o'clock kickoff. Show me what you got. I think Missouri moves from 6 this week. Is it up to 4? Is it back to 9? I think those are in play. Just depends on what they do this week.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Vols, good team. good quarterback, better defense than I thought, middle tier of the SEC.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Vanderbilt goes to Tuscaloosa, really ran the ball well. Pavia turned the ball over, which you can't do. But their defense showed up and put up a fight against Ty Simpson in that Alabama offense. It just didn't hold long enough. And when your offense turns the ball over twice inside the other team's 30-yard line, that's going to hurt. Vandy's pretty good. They're a pretty good team. Got them 8th.
The LSU Tigers.
We'll see what LSU can do this weekend against South Carolina. The offense is bottom half of the SEC. Running game is second to last in the SEC. That's bad. I still love the defense. I think it's very, very, very good. So we'll leave them there at 9.
The Auburn Tigers.
Watch out for Auburn this week. They're at home. Georgia comes in. They're not that bad. They were bad on offense against A&M. They weren't great on offense against Oklahoma, but their defense has been scrappy. They do have talent on offense out wide with Cam Coleman, that receiving core. I don't trust the Jackson Arnold, and that's a big hurdle. But I like Auburn a little bit there at 10.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
I backed Texas up, which you'll see here, which is part of the reason South Carolina moved up a couple of spots here. They're not very good. Their offense is very clunky. Their defense isn't what it was. This may be ambitious, and I may find out in Tiger Stadium that they're really bad. But I've got them at 12 for today.
The Florida Gators.
Florida moves up 2 spots. Like, they played some offense. They scored 30 points almost in the game against Texas at home. Their defense was flying around. I mean, they took advantage of a bad Texas offense, but Lagway looked functional. So, is Florida good? No. Did they play better on Saturday? Sure. Move up a little bit.
The Texas Longhorns.
I'm pretty stunned here. They're 13th. And I would suggest most people would have them worse. I still am going to give them a little bit of credit for going to Ohio State and playing that game really tight. That's Julian Saint's first game. I get that, and so it's not a big deal. It was a long time ago now. But Texas isn't atrocious. They're just bad on offense, and the skill position talent around hasn't been good enough.
You know where you had them in the preseason power rankings, or week 1, I should say?
2.
Correct.
13.
Correct.
That's an 11-spot difference for those doing the math at home.
It is.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Back Mississippi State up 2 spots. They just got stuffed in a locker in the second half in College Station. I mean, you've got an offensive coach in Jeff Levy, and you've got a senior quarterback in Blake Shapen, and you can't do anything on offense after the first drive of the game. Like, that's a problem. Their defense did the best it could, and they deserve a lot of credit for shoring that up after a historically bad last year, but they're still bad.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Hogs haven't moved. Still got a good offense, bad defense, bad team. Now a new coach in Bobby Petrino. We'll see what he can do against Tennessee this week in Knoxville. I don't anticipate that going great, but you never know with that new coach bump. So we'll see what the Hogs can do this weekend.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
I got a prediction Kentucky's going to stay at 16 the rest of the way. I don't know that they're going to move. It's a Missouri baseball type situation here where you can just pencil that in right at the beginning of the exercise of getting this done.
Until they beat Ole Miss last year in football. I mean, they were
that
probably
was in September.
It was, but still.
They're not winning a league game this year. I think they're going for the bagel. So
don't think they can beat Auburn or Florida?
They could. They're not going to.
Okay.
All right, that's the power rankings. Alabama 1, Oklahoma 2, Georgia at 3, Texas A&M at 4, Ole Miss at 5. Right now, those feel like the playoff real possibilities. Missouri needs to prove something this week to get into that there at 6. Tennessee at 7. Vanderbilt at 8. LSU at 9. Auburn's at 10. South Carolina at 11. Number 12 is the Florida Gators. Texas falls all the way to 13. 3 more spots down. Mississippi State at 14. Arkansas at 15. And the Kentucky Wildcats at 16.
So do you think 5 SEC teams get into the playoff?
No. I just think those are the ones that are playing for it right
Okay, but
now.
how many do you think will get in?
4.
Okay.
I think 4 can get in. We'll see. The Big 12 does need to knock, and you need to make sure we don't have an Indiana situation from last year in the Big 12 where somebody goes 11-1. That team probably gets into the playoffs. I mean, it probably gets into the championship game, so maybe that's not as big a concern. Like Indiana didn't get to its championship game. But I think that the ACC is like you've already lost Clemson. Florida State's likely going to be out because they've already got 2 losses. Like you're starting to lose ACC teams, and you had 2 ACC teams last year. So to me, I think there's an extra spot. I think the SEC gets 4.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I could see 5 if
that's hard to get to.
It's hard, but if you have Like, let's say
you need Oregon and Ohio State to run the table and everybody else to lose 3.
Yeah,
that's a lot to ask.
It is.
Penn State's helping you.
They are.
And Indiana could. We don't really know what they are. They probably lose a game this weekend. But it's a tall task to get that many SEC teams in.
It is. But as far as the rankings go, I think this is about right. I don't have much to say about it.
Is Oklahoma better than Georgia?
I think that on a neutral site in Georgia would probably still be favored by maybe a point or two, but I don't know. I would hesitate to say that.
Is A&M better than Ole Miss?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. I think their defense
is
good.
Disgraceful.
Yeah, we might need a visit from the Yale leader.
Something needs to go off the rails in College Station. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it needs to.
We might need a visit from the Yale leader, Hunt.
Who do they have this week? Are they off? They're off this week.
They're off.
God, disgraceful. Tough to lose a bye week.
You can't really do that.
Yankees, it's bad.
Oh wait, no, AM's playing in Florida.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Well, that's in College Station.
It is, but hey, Florida.
Hey,
I mean,
Sunbelt Billy, baby.
Yeah.
I
hey,
can
look,
chomp all day long. I got the orange shirt on today.
There's nobody
I bleed
more
blue and orange.
Nobody more intimidating to play than Billy Napier
Go
with his
Gator.
job on the line.
That's exactly right. The guy gets his back against the wall and they come out swinging blue and orange style.
Yep.
Also, his team, not great.
No, but they won. Beat Texas.
I need to get a message to DJ Lagway. Don't throw 5 interceptions on the road because I've seen that and it doesn't go well. So
No.
we'll see if they can clean that up. Go with 0. Go Gator. We'll pick those games against the spread on Friday. Come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, swingeasygcbr.com. Such a great place to hang out. If you've never hit into a golf simulator, it's really fun and it's really enlightening. It's cool. It's really lifelike in terms of the way the ball travels. I know that. I'm a natural right to left player, and I can get pretty nasty with the right to lefts, and that is indicated on that golf simulator. But it's really cool to hit the shots at Pebble Beach. It's really cool to hit the shots at Bethpage Back. It's really cool to hit the shots at TPC, and you can do that with your friends. Hang out in one of those bays. They got comfortable seating areas, a television there. You can take your mulligans. You can play for fun. You can play for cash with your friends. You want to hang out, watch football on a Sunday. Great place to hang and do that. Make it tea time. Socialize with your buddies. They got a full ice chest over there full of beers, seltzers, wine. You can hang out. Just a personalized golf club. You can get a membership to it as well. Corporate memberships are available at Swing Easy Golf Club. You're like, where is it? Segan at Perkins. Segan at Perkins. Go by and see him. Book a tea time. Get inside that bay. Have some fun. It's Swing Easy Golf Club. Online, swingeasygcbr.com, swingeasygcbr.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wrapping things up here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Looking to get that pool of your dreams. BuiltByRenaissance.com. BuiltByRenaissance.com. Contact my guy, Joey Landry. I give you his Joey Landry. I know a Joey Landry, too. Joey Blanchard is who you need to contact there. 225-252-7745. Again, 225-252-7745. BuiltByRenaissance.com. Renaissance Homes and Pools brings you our Wednesday shows each and every week. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer. If you're tailgating out there for the Tigers this weekend, pick up a pack of Flight as you head out to campus. It's delicious, it's light, it's refreshing, got all the flavor you're looking for in a beer and all the great benefits of a light beer. 95 calories, 2.6 carbs. A lot of you folks have tried Yingling over the years. You may not have tried Flight by Yingling. It is the next generation of light beer.
All righty, first one here. This was maybe one of the craziest headlines I've read about college football in quite some time.
Okay.
Stanford football, they got a donation from a former player. Guy's name is Bradford M. Freeman. You can just tell by his name he's pretty wealthy. Well, he donated a large sum of money to Stanford. Hon, have you seen this?
I have not.
Can you guess how much money he donated to Stanford football?
$21 million.
No. A little bit higher than that.
$51 million.
$50 million. Bradford M. Freeman. I can't find out what he does. I found out he's a private equity guy, which is not surprising.
Yeah.
But he donated $50 million to the Stanford football program. Not like a building or anything. It's the football program. $50 million to the Stanford Cardinal football team. $50 million. Donating $50 million to Stanford football. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. It's all relative. If you've got $51 million and you give $50 million to Stanford, that's probably a bad decision.
Probably so.
If you've got $6 billion and you give them $50 million.
I don't think he has $6 billion, but you never know.
I don't either. But
who knows?
It's all relative. So, yeah, I mean, it's if that's what you're passionate about, they stink. They're terrible. They've been terrible for a long time. Nobody really cares. They're a non-factor in the world of college football and their conferences across the entire country. So I'm not sure how much fruit is going to be born from that development. But if you have the money, fire away.
All right, last one real quick. We talked about yesterday the Bengals traded for Joe Flacco. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise that he will be starting. Head coach Zach Taylor said that today, that he will be starting against the Packers. The Bengals get the win behind Joe. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that.
Leave it alone.
Because they're bad.
They are.
Joe Flacco, also bad.
Yes.
And the Bengals will lose a lot of games, including this one coming up on Sunday. The Packers are not bad.
No, they're pretty good, actually.
I'm glad the Packers are playing because I need Josh Jacobs back in the fantasy going because I got last place in my league this past week.
We need the Cubs to win today
badly,
and then the Brewers fans will be fit. They'll be finished, and they'll just go try. They'll just only care about the Packers again.
Here's my thing with the Cubs today. I woke up this morning, went for my run. I was listening to Locked On Cubs.
Yep.
And it's bad. Like they're down an 0-2 hole. They have to beat the Brewers, who had the best record in baseball 3 times. That's very difficult to do.
It is.
But I did think about the other side of that coin, and I went, I get to watch the Cubs in a playoff game today.
Wow.
And that doesn't happen very often.
Very positive.
So let's see what can happen.
In Wrigley, by the way,
it's at Wrigley. Going to have great unis on. It's going to look gorgeous on TV. Wind's blowing in a little bit. We'll see what they can do. I don't think I'm going to get super emotional about this game unless it gets really tight late, which could happen. Probably going to happen considering the wind's blowing in. It's going to be hard to score runs for anybody. But hopeful. You get a win today, show up tomorrow, and you're one win away from making things real interesting.
I'm sure you're very happy as well that the next game, if they make it to the next game, it will be on Thursday and not Friday when they could potentially wear your very, very favorite uniforms.
They would not do that.
No?
Not in my presence.
Okay.
All right, that's it for a Wednesday edition. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Hunt on LSU, Hunt on Saints, or The Hunt Palmer Show. That's going to drive you home on AFR. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost-effective.